Oh my gosh, guys. So I've gotten a little more bit of a stone collection going on this past year since I've been home because I've actually been spending time healing and doing things I enjoy again. So I'm just going to share with you. I'm going to boast a little bit here, just a little bit of my collection. I've got big chunks all over the house of amethyst and rhodonite and rhodochrosite and new jade and copper and all sorts of other crazy stuff. But hoping I play a little naming game once in a while, just for fun to kind of like check out the rocks and everything. And I don't know if you can see all this. This is just on my little table, my tarot table here. See, I charge up my decks. That's what the selenite's for, and the quartz is for. This is so. I'll walk you through some of my favorites. This will be some of Rachel's favorite. Oh shit! The celestite's in my room. Got a big chunk of celestite and sodalite in my room. Sodalite, of course, is a stone. So let me just back up for a minute for anybody who's actually giving you shit and listening. So to me, as a healer and as a steward of the earth, as it is, stones, crystal formations, rock formations, first of all, I find them fascinating, just how things occur over time, and the mineral world as itself, like I've always been fascinated with since childhood. So I've literally been collecting rocks since I was like probably 7, 8 years old, like most kids. But it turned into a little bit more fascination for me because throughout my tween years and my high school years, I really was passionate about earth sciences. Spent a lot of time, or summers, I should say, at the Dartmouth and Vermont Technical College as young women's in technology camps, and thought for certain, no, I'm going to go into earth sciences and geology and shit like that. No, I also had a passion for herpetology and veterinarian assistance is what I was apprenticing in. So totally went another direction, but not really. I still kept my passion for rocks over the years. And just the layers of time that you see in them and how they form, like stalagmites versus stalactites, things like that, where to find geos, where to find agates, all sorts of things. Oh, you barking bitch, I love you. Yeah, thanks. Here, hey, shut up. Look what I got for you. Oh, there you go. I have to put dog treats on the table because I can't hear half the time. With Miss Snow, always drawing attention. So nonetheless, and it's always when I'm talking too. Nonetheless, so I've kept a lot of that passion with me. And so, of course, throughout the years, the interest in the geological formation of things also turns into the metaphysical properties of things. And it really wasn't until this past year when I'm self-healing from chronic illnesses and all sorts of things that I won't go into, but that I started to look really closely at crystal healing again. Now I dabbled with it, 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, and here and there kind of thing. But there was a disconnect to it. So this year, finally, it was like, okay, I was dealing with inflammation. It was about a year ago even. I was dealing with some real bad inflammation in like my shoulder and my back and stuff. And something inside me said to, just basically go grab one of your crystals kind of thing and put it on there. Well, most healers, when you're healing with crystal energy, most healers start out with like a good chunk of quartz. So that's what I did. I had this piece of quartz here, and I believe this one is a Brazilian one. I know this one's Brazilian. This one actually came back. This is a Herculean Brazilian quartz that came back with my grandmother from one of her trips to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. But this one, I can't even tell you where I picked up in my travels. But nonetheless, I threw this on and it absorbed like everything. It wasn't instant. It took a little bit, but it just literally conducted all the heat off of me. And it was kind of like, oh, finally some relief, right? So then I'm like, okay, well, I've got all these books on metaphysical properties of crystals and crystal energy and things like that. Why don't I check those out again? And that's what I did for like 2 months, 2.5 months. I just read books on healing properties, all that other stuff. You're not getting another one, dear. And really explored it in my own healing. And finally, I came across this one right here. This is a dendrite agate. And dendrite agate, agates in general, it's snowing here on me. Agates in general are really great ones for your cardiovascular nervous system. So if you think of stones, if you think of crystals as like the vegetables of the ground, right? Like we have our above ground fruits and vegetables. These are like, These are like the fruits and vegetables. That time of night. These are like the fruits and vegetables of the ground. Like they're literally, these things grow out of a chemical reaction of, calcium, manganese, mica is its own, granite, quartz. Like all of these have mineral properties, right? So they're to me, they're like vegetables of the ground. Now, obviously this is polished. This is shaped to some extent. But I tell you what, this is my fibromyalgia. This is my inflammation go-to now. I get migraines. I kind of massage this in, work this in to the back of my neck, my shoulders. And for me, the agates, especially dendrite agate and Botswana agate, in particular. No, you're not coming back in, you crazy thing. It is what it is, whether it's pseudo effect, whether it's a genuine energy of the stones. Yes, they do have energy. You can feel a pulse if you're tuned in enough, if you're connected enough. Yes, if you're trying to balance out your body, they can help. They're part of tools in a toolkit, and there is no reason why that we can't believe 5,000-year-old plus medicine healers, both for humanity or for the environment, as to why these things should not be effective, other than it's hard to work backwards when you're trying to prove something that's already of a belief that it works, right? So that said, moving forward, now that I've rattled a little bit here, I'll give you a quick rundown of just kind of what's here on the table. I won't go through everything. I'll go through some of my favorites. So clearly, dendrite agate, yes, these two guys are my primary inflammatory migraine healers, along with the aromatics I do, the essential oil treatments I do. And by the way, check out my Strega website. Strega is my brand. Traditional Healer LLC is my company. And you can find all those goodies, those therapeutic essential oils, blends, etc. for migraines, for fibromyalgia, for everyday uses, cleaning sprays, all that stuff. And of course, lovely, lovely fragrances to go along with it, if you're interested there. And if not, by all means, reach out to me, hit me up in Messenger, and I'll walk you through what's up for grabs and available for options. And this isn't just stuff to, oh, well, maybe this will work. No, this is like years and years of training and exploring and putting pieces together with like alternative meds and nutrition and, what kind of key do things sing in together to work with your nervous system, your cardiovascular system, all those other complicated things. So we know that agates, dendrite agate, Botswana agate. Botswana agate, I've had a debate recently about with a new shop owner who didn't want to believe me that this was Botswana agate. So I really she brought me out some things looking like this, and these are very small pieces. We definitely have large chunks of Botswana agate. Of course, Botswana is a place in Africa. So only Botswana agate comes from Africa. It doesn't come from Brazil or any place like that. Botswana agate comes from a pocket of agate that's in Botswana in Botswana, Africa. So when we're looking at Botswana agate, we're looking at the bands. I don't know if you guys can see that. The bands here. So they're a little bit more opaque. Agates in particular, with all these lines and these bands. right? They're not, they do have some quartz in them, but they don't have like that crystallized quartz you see. Let me see if I can find a banded quartz here. Like the strawberry quartz, you know? Strawberry quartz will have kind of, you can see the variations here. Bands like that. Calcites even can sometimes have the bands within them, the veins of quartz or veins of different colored calcites in them. So, but agates in particular, agates are really, really opaque in nature, and you can spot an agate really, really well when you're out walking. If you're kind of perusing the riverbeds or the sandbars, things like that. This is another dendrite agate. You can see, but they always have these little bands in them, these little color variations. So all three of these little guys here would be agates, and Botswana agate in particular. Lepidolite is one I've heard mentioned a lot lately, and lepidolite's great stuff. There's a lot of mica and lithium in lepidolite, as well as quartz. And let me see if I got, okay, so here's a ruby and lepidolite piece I have. They're kind of purplish in color. But the best example I have of the lithium that makes that purple color in lepidolite is, here's a regular, like, small chunk of mica. Mica grows everywhere all over New England. And then sometimes it grows with the lithium content in it. So when you hear people reference lepidolite is an anxiety relief, it's a panic relief stone. Its energy is indeed that because of the lithium content in it. And you'll get this purple coloration to it. It's kind of like a lavender, kind of like a magenta to it. I don't know if you can see it pretty good with this, but you'll get that coloration from the lithium content, which is why lepidolite, because it's actually in good supply right now. It's funny how stones change too over the years as to what's in supply for them. Unlike though, you won't see the lithium in the quartzes or the fluorites here, but you will see purple coloration. Now, quartz, amethyst, of course, is a form of quartz that we know naturally occurs. We see ginormous, beautiful pieces of amethyst, right? This is just a little guy here. Here's another one. There's different kinds of amethyst to them. Sadly, many of the quartzes, and in particular these obelisks or shapes of quartzes, pieces that we pick up, whether they're amethyst or not, have been dyed. So often you'll see them dyed. It's kind of like a market thing, but natural quartz is often, unless you're getting it right from the geode and it's that kind of black, there's a word for it, real dark purple. You'll see it more on the lighter side. And the coloration in stones also varies because of their age, their maturity. So that's an example. Again, that's why you'll see, like, okay, bands of Botswana agate and like kind of a sandy brown to this pretty like tangerine orange down to like these deep dark reds and oranges, things like that. It has to do with the maturity of the stone, how long the stone's been growing. For that matter, but the quartz family is a different kind of like purple hue, as is the fluorite itself. Now, fluorite, I believe, does have some quartz in it as well, but you'll often see fluorite, the maturity of the fluorite, go from like green to blue to purple to clear. Like, it's all sorts of variations as well. And obviously, two of my favorite stones, I'll start with the first one, is stromatolite. Stromatolite is the oldest fossil on the planet, which is what makes it so cool, right? But not only is it the oldest fossil, it is what created all of our Earth's atmosphere way back when, as the planet was forming. It's a bacteria that turned algae. In this particular case, this is the algae form of it. And it, of course, fossilized over the time. Now, Botswana is also, not Botswana, stromatolite is also known as Kambaba jasper. More recently, I think it was the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, that it kind of developed that name. It's been called by many other names throughout the centuries. But stromatolites, its true form, true name, and rightly so. If you check out how it is formed and how it's really found in large chunks. This is a pretty smaller piece I have to play with here, but really, really neat history. Now, this is the cool part about collecting rocks, right? Is you get to, if you're really into it, you get to learn their backgrounds, and some of them, like, it's like, oh wow. One of the fun things I like to do, of course, is to kind of like walk into a rock shop, things I've never seen or heard of before. And you're just like drawn to that. And then you go and you look up their metaphysical property and you're like, oh, wow, am I really going through that in my life right now? So their energy does resonate often to you. And that's a good indicator of what you may not be conscious of. But then you're like, oh, yeah, when you kind of discover the layers behind why you chose that stone, too. So I think random stone picking is a really fun thing. This is blue lace agate. This is a small chunk of blue lace agate polished up here. It's the Speak Your Truth stone. It's got a peaceful, tranquil energy for sure. It is in the quartz family. It is an agate, of course. And it's just really, really, again, there's those blue veins, blue and white kind of veins to it. This is a little polished piece. You can see in the lace is that they're not as symmetrical as, say, the Botswana is. That's really a distinct feature about the Botswana is it's very clear lines, cleavages and whatnot with it. Then let's see. That's another favorite of mine. There they are. There's my labradorite. Labradorite is by far my favorite stone. Why? Because of this flash of blue. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. There it is. That flash of blue you get. Now, right now, there's a pocket out in Madagascar that has all these tiger stripes in it. So this one is officially a tiger stripe labradorite piece from Madagascar. They don't always have those black striation in there, those black lines in there. This is definitely not a Madagascar one, and you can kind of tell there as the light reflects what's going on. This too is probably a Brazilian labradorite, but it's got that very infamous, or famous rather, flash to it, that blue flash that's just kind of like, oh, you don't see it at first. It's a gray stone, right? Until it's that one hit, and then you're mesmerized. This is the stone of journey work. This is the stone of visioning because of that factor, because it's enticing you to what's underneath the surface, right? So this is a stone I often use in shamanic journey work, whether I'm wearing it here, when I read cards, and when I'm using my intuition. This is a good stone to have for intuition use. Let's see, who else are some of my favorites here in the lot? I can't be without citrine. Got a huge necklace, chunks of citrine. I'd be dripping in citrine. A little known fact to many, most of the citrine you see out on the market, here's some, like this in particular, when it's got like that more goldeny brown to it, dark yellow, that's actually amethyst that's been heat treated or dyed even to make you think it's citrine. But citrine's typically, sometimes it's even paler than this, a very, very pale yellow. Again, it's in the quartz family. It tends to grow alongside amethyst. You'll get, I don't have any out right here, you'll get what's called ametrine, and that's a combination of amethyst and citrine, and it's really, really pretty. Honey calcite, another good yellow I work with. A lot of solar plexus energy with the honey calcite here, and citrine. And by the way, both are the luck stones. Both are the joy stones. Citrine more so. Good chunk of citrine in your pockets. Said to bring you money, prosperity, along with some aventurine. A little chunk of aventurine. That's a darker piece of it. Aventurine is also the luck stone. That is said to bring you luck. Like if you're job interviewing, you want to have a little aventurine in your pocket or some citrine in your pocket to bring you the money and the job itself that you're really after. Another favorite stone is prehnite. Again, this is a healer stone. This is the stone that is said to heal the healer. This is a good one also for astral travel, journey work. It rebalances our own energies, and so that way, as we're empathizing, as we are taking on the energy, especially during soul retrieval of others, we don't hang on to it.